Welcome to Ben Nevares podcast with your host, Ben Nevares.
Ni hao.
Ni hao.
And welcome back to the podcast.
Back.
Well, all the listeners, welcome back to the podcast.
Okay.
Welcome to the podcast for the very first time. We have a new guest, a one-of-a-kind guest, if you will. And I'm interested to learn a little bit more about Queendom Cultivation, I guess, and also just about who Jazz really is. And because we've realized that Ben doesn't remember a lot of things a lot, it really helps Ben whenever he gets to have it recorded and be able to reference things. And also, I think it also helps build relationships, and it's good. It's good things. So thank you for coming on.
Of course.
I appreciate taking time out of your day.
Thank you for having me. And now you'll remember everything about me because we'll share it in the podcast.
So long as you share it.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I want you to bring the thing a lot closer to your face.
More than a fist.
Is that not a fist?
That was more than a fist. This is now a fist.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a fist away.
I'm learning the rules of engagement.
You are.
Be patient with me.
I'm trying.
Give me grace.
Have you done an in-person podcast?
Yeah.
You did?
I did not have to do this. I was holding a mic.
Ew.
I know. Yeah.
Bottom to your podcast.
I know, right? This
Why?
is so much more high level.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Trying to upgrade ourselves.
Yeah.
So, Jazz.
Ben.
Who is Jazz?
Ooh. In what context?
In a spiritual or soul perspective, how does Jazz travel through the world, and who is that individual, that being, that sense of energy?
Okay. Jazz is someone who has worked long and hard to get to this place in her life. I'm not going to refer to myself in third person this entire time. But I've spent quite some time really understanding or getting a better understanding of who I am over the years, especially as I navigate entrepreneurship, as I navigate different academic environments, just people and relationships. I've started to get a better understanding of who I am and what my purpose is in all of this. And Jazz is pretty free-flowing. She's going to be a constant work in progress, figuring herself out. And I'm referring to myself in third person again. I'm on a journey. I think I'll forever be a student of life and what life is teaching me and how to become a better person, a better version of myself. But I like to say that I am love. I am accepting. I'm tolerant. I'm chill. I'm grounded. Yeah.
Were you ever not grounded?
Not really. Can we talk about zodiacs for a second, or is it too soon?
We jump into it.
Okay, because my big three. We have big threes. Okay, we have a sun, moon, and rising sign. My sun sign is Taurus, which is an earth sign. My moon is a Capricorn, which is an earth sign, and my rising is Virgo, which is also an earth sign. So I've been grounded my entire life. I have difficulty letting things flow, actually, which is why I'm constantly on a journey of learning how to kind of step back and let life happen for me instead of trying to take control of life.
So almost grounded to the point of potential negative return.
Could be.
And
it has been in some ways. If I'm too rigid, if I'm inflexible, things break instead of bend.
And at what point did you realize I can't sustain this?
That's not sustainable. Probably being thrusted into entrepreneurship via layoff.
Why did you choose to go that route? Out of any other route you could have gone.
I guess, I could have just jumped back into the workforce.
What did you learn about yourself in the corporate culture that motivated you to try entrepreneurship?
I liked the freedom of being able to manage my own time. I didn't want to be confined to certain structures. I didn't want to be confined to a 9-to-5 or specific expectations of my role and then boundaries within that if I know I'm more expansive than that. more abundant than that. And that's what I found in the roles that I worked. But I wasn't working very much before I went into full-time entrepreneurship. I only had a job for about 2.5 years before I was laid off. And then I've been that's like since like right after college, I was hired into a management role at a nonprofit. And then I transitioned into another nonprofit, and that's the one I was laid off from. And I jumped straight into entrepreneurship. So I really don't have much workforce experience.
Wow.
I've just been an entrepreneur. I knew immediately it didn't vibe well.
Even at the first one, you knew kind of immediately that the workplace is not going to be for me?
At the first one, I tried to make it work as long as I could. And then I recognized that there are certain structures that have been in place for years that I'm not going to be able to make any significant change in. And since I'm not able to do that, while yes, I could continue to like grind against that structure and try to break it down, I could just step out of that entirely and build something of my own. So I did.
After a second shot at the corporate world.
After a second shot, what do you mean?
So you went to the first one. You realized that you wanted more freedom. You weren't going to make a lot of change to an already existing structure. But then you went into another corporate structure.
I did. It was a higher paying structure. And it was more connected to my undergraduate degree at the time.
Which was
criminal justice and political science. I double majored. So before that, I was hired as a manager for a nonprofit program that worked with HIV positive homeless youth, 18 to 24, in San Francisco. So not only was it like completely unrelated to what my background experience was, but it was emotionally taxing. Every single day was a lot. And then there were certain lacks in support from the institution that we needed in order to be successful in our roles that I didn't want to deal with anymore. So I started looking elsewhere. And I came across this program in Berkeley that was looking for someone to be a college and career partnerships manager to work with 18 to 24-year-old incarcerated young men who were looking to get back into the community. So they were still incarcerated, but they were essentially released into our custody of our program. So we had them residentially, we had them academically, and my role was to connect them to higher education opportunities and employment opportunities. And I thought that was really dope, and it connected to the criminal justice aspect of my background. I'm all about the social justice work. I felt really connected to the work, and at the same time, I was planning my exit by the end of the year.
What a weird concept.
You know?
To be both enjoying your thing, but still working to get out.
Well, in the middle of these two positions, I found my thing, which has now been my thing for 7 years. I had this as a hobby for me. What I do now was a hobby, an interest of mine that I had started to cultivate over time. I started to get more out into community of like-minded individuals. I started to expand my knowledge around it. I started to grow my own spiritual practice, and everything kind of aligned there. So I was already doing that, but on weekends and evenings, only when I could. So I said, I'm going to save up enough so that I could jump full force into this and actually turn this into a profitable business. At the end of the year, though, I didn't know that 2 weeks after getting my master's degree in international security studies, which was completely unrelated also.
Why?
Why? Which part?
Why did you jump into that master's degree? How does that?
That came from a scarcity mindset. That came from fear that I didn't have anything to do directly after undergrad. I didn't have a job lined up immediately. So I applied for a program before I graduated. And then I went out to San Francisco. I was in Arizona at the time. I went to NAU. Shout out to the Lumberjacks. And I graduated. When I was graduating from there, I had also applied to this program, this online program at the University of Arizona. But I was also going out to San Francisco for job interviews, and they hired me straight out. But I was already accepted into this program too. I said, well, I'm gonna do both. So not only was my job emotionally taxing, I accepted a full-time grad program as well on top of that. And so 2 weeks after I graduated with my master's degree, I was laid off from my job about 7 months before I anticipated leaving. And thrust it into full-time entrepreneurship.
At that point, were you confident enough to jump in to the next project, even though you didn't have what you were hoping to save up and jump into?
I had a severance check, which was not much, but it was enough for my bills, and I had unemployment for about a year.
Damn.
I know.
Nice.
In California, unemployment is pretty reasonable for a person with no kids and very little bills to pay.
Can I ask you what unemployment was?
$450 a week.
$450 a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's $1,800 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And you're living off $1,800 a month and doing the business.
Yeah.
That seems kind of hard.
The business was successful.
Already at that point.
Mm-hmm. I had already established a good community following.
So what was how do you enter the market, if you will? What's your first line or product or service?
Yeah, I started with wrapping crystals into jewelry pieces. And so it was the making of those products, kind of similar to this. This is a new venture. I just started metalsmithing. But wire wrapping was essentially just taking copper wire, wrapping it around jewelry into functional pieces of jewelry, wrapping around crystals into functional pieces of jewelry.
And was there not a market for that already? Or did you just did you find a niche like, oh, people aren't doing this and I want to do this? Or is it just like, I like this and so I want to make it?
Honestly, I was collecting the crystals, and one of my coworkers said, why don't you wrap them? This was from the first job. And I was like, interesting. Like, I've seen people do that, but I had never done it myself. So that night, being the person that I am, again, all these earth placements, I'm like, this is practical. I can actually apply this to my life, and then I can wear them and I can get a skill in something. Cool. I went to Michael's that night and bought a whole bunch of shit to be able to make jewelry out of.
That's fucking
that
so
same
crazy.
night. And so then I would just be going to work, wrapping crystals at work. I took it with me everywhere I went.
Wow.
The second job that I was working at, a lot of these guys were incarcerated for various reasons. I was teaching them how to sling rocks that wouldn't get them locked up. So I always found joy in teaching people how to also make this. So yes, there was a market for it, but there was a specific area in which I leaned into more, which is like the educational benefits of the energy behind the crystals. And that is why I was able to connect so much with the community and had that support to kind of sustain myself.
Is the community pretty keen on where people are just trying to make a profit versus people actually care about the thing that they're selling?
It shows up. I think it shows up in the integrity. I think it shows up just in conversation. You can tell if a person is knowledgeable about what they're doing or if they're just doing it because they know they're going to sell something. So I started to sell these pieces at events. I would see different events being hosted that were looking for vendors. I would apply to be a vendor. I would go there and pop up. I was doing this probably about 2 or 3 times a weekend. It was a lot.
It's a hustle.
It was a hustle, and I lived in the Bay. It was like the most expensive place to live also. So I was able to do that. But at a certain point, I was told, Spirit told me, it's time to move. This is not sustainable. You cannot do this long term. And so I started to venture out elsewhere where I could afford to live a little bit more comfortably without having to work as hard. It was Long Beach. It wasn't that much of a break like I thought it would be. But it allowed me to focus on growing my online presence. And when I grew my online presence, that helped me sustain through the pandemic. Not just sustain, but thrive through the pandemic. So, I'll take it.
What a fun little journey.
Yeah.
You said that you wanted to take control of your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still a reality 7 years in?
Yeah. As long as I have a good team in place. And I just took on this grad program that we're in, our executive MBA program. And I'm able to be fully present in this because I have a team holding down what's now our retail shop and our e-commerce presence.
How large is the e-commerce presence? Can I ask you that? I mean, like, how many units are you selling a month or a year, or like, do you have those numbers?
I should have those numbers, huh? That's why I'm in an MBA program.
Yeah.
I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but we get thousands of orders a year. Thousands, tens of thousands of orders a year. So
You have a lot of products. I went to your website and I was like, for someone that's not in that kind of industry or space of like the energy behind rocks and stuff, or stones or gems, or what do you call them?
crystals.
Crystals.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to use the right terminology.
Thank you.
Appreciate
it.
I'm trying. It seems almost overwhelming on my perspective, but I'm
Okay.
sure that other people
That's
are
really
like,
good feedback.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm glad, but I'm sure that there's a population that like looks at that and they're like, oh my God, they have everything that I could ever want, right? So are you looking to find those people, or are you looking to capture new people into maybe appreciating the crystals?
I'm looking to do both. I'm looking to support the needs of the people who know exactly what it is that they're looking for, and we have all the things. And then I'm also looking to welcome in people who are looking to learn. That's why we have such an educational presence on our online platform as well. So I'm always offering information about the products. I don't just want to sell you something that you're just going to buy and never touch again. To me, that's disingenuous and against alignment with my business practices. I want you to know what it is, make informed decisions, so you're able to integrate it into your life and ultimately become a better person, which ultimately makes you a better member of our society. And collectively, we could all use some growth in our spirituality.
You don't say.
I think it is part of the root of the problem.
Elaborate. Where do you find that people are lacking, or how do they display a lack in maybe their spiritual growth?
Pinpoint it to a specific area.
I mean, you don't have to necessarily pinpoint, but you can talk about generalizations, like is it how people communicate, how people treat each other, and then after that we can dive into maybe what more in that specific topic, maybe some potential areas that people can really take away home with them, and maybe also hear, man, this is something that definitely like either I recognize from other people, or how do I internalize this for myself?
I feel like as a society, there's a lot of pressure of comparison. I feel like a lot of people don't know themselves well enough. We're not grounded enough in who we are. And because of that, we're able to kind of be pushed and pulled, and we really lose focus in sight of what type of person we want to be, what path we want to follow, and what we feel like our purpose is. And we have a lot of people that are kind of navigating the world without purpose, without even the freedom or ability to find that purpose, because they feel, whether it's from self-limited beliefs or restricted within their class, their job, wherever they're located and in their place of life, they find it to be restricting. They don't have the freedom. So I hold space for that too. They feel like limited in their ability to explore that. But even within those confines, there's still ways for you to explore what brings you joy, what brings you purpose and the most fulfillment. How can you be a better contributing member of society? And if we don't know ourselves, then that impacts our ability to set boundaries. That impacts our ability to find joy and happiness. That impacts our ability to connect with other people, because we are constantly on this search of more, what's gratifying, when we have yet to fully embody what we're experiencing here and now. And what is it that we love about this moment? What is it that we would like to change in the future? And not comparatively to the next person, but in our life right now, what do we see for ourselves? And when we have a better understanding of who we are at the root, so in my world, I call that the root chakra, who we are at our root chakra, we're able to define our I am. I am this. So then as we move and navigate through our spiritual journey and practice and throughout the world, we're able to develop a stronger foundation and build on our foundation from a strong sense of self. But we don't know ourselves.
How can you when there's so many different things telling you where you're supposed to be?
Yeah. That's why it's important to disconnect. It's important to disconnect. And one of the 7 spiritual laws is detachment. Detaching from what you feel like is your identity, from the things that define you. That allows you to be more flexible in growing and evolving too. When we're trying to hold on too tightly to who we were, what was, who we think we should be, where we think we should be, we have an attachment to things that hold us back from growth.
I had such a hard time giving up the identity of being a power lifter.
Oh, yeah.
When I first retired, like went to Worlds, got back home, I was like, all right, I think that this is kind of done. I think for now, maybe in a year or so, I'll like entertain it again.
Mm.
But then the immediate out of that was like, well, I guess I'm going to drink more because now there's no limitations.
Mm-hmm.
I can do whatever drugs I want to do without any care in the world.
Yeah.
I don't really have to work out. I don't really have to go that intense with anything. Like all I got to do is just focus on making money. And then this shift happened where I started gaining I gained like 30 pounds as soon as within a year after me completing my last meet, I gained a lot of weight. I looked more unhealthy. I was more unhealthy. I just didn't look it. I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I never would have left, I probably would have never been able to grow in a way that maybe reset priorities and understanding that health and fitness is important, but at the same time, having fun lifting weights isn't going to be real life forever.
Forever.
And it was a great time. I loved it. Met a lot of friends. But if I never was not necessarily forced out, because I wasn't forced out, if I never took the leap out of the sport, then I probably would have never met the friends that I did. I never would have fucked up as much as I did in order to, oh shit, actually these are actually my values.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard.
Yeah.
It was painful.
Mm-hmm. You're stripping away parts of your identity.
It was so scary.
Yeah. Who are you, bro?
I hated it. I that was a question constantly in my head. And so I was like, I guess I'll find another sport. Like, okay, I competed for Team USA once. I can just do it again. And so I'm just going to change sports. I went to go compete for, I went to enjoy the judo team. And I got on the A&M's judo team. And then I very quickly realized that they only take the top 12 in the entire world, regardless of country. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a really long path. And I was expecting this to be a lot faster. So too much time, off to the next thing. I liked it. Have a good time, whatever, but I don't really find any there's no realistic goal that I can achieve here.
Yeah.
It's going to take me way too long. The likelihood is so very far off. The value isn't there for me. I had a really hard time finding myself.
Mm-hmm. And you kept looking to external places to find your next purpose. It was always shifting based on what you felt led to do for whatever motivation.
Which I think that there's some value in that, and it forces me to look okay, if on the face of it, I just approach the situation. I wanna compete for Team USA. I've already done it once. This is the thing that I'm holding on to. I'm gonna do this thing, and then I moved the sport again, and then I moved the sport again, and then I realized I like movement.
Mm-hmm.
I value health. I value the gym and what it teaches me, and patience and hard work and honest work. And so I had to look externally initially for all these separate things, but finally taking a step back and looking at it maybe in a larger picture from from a higher level. Oh, this is the thing that I like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an athlete, but I like moving. I like health.
Yeah. So that exploration led you to your purpose.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's great. I encourage folks to do that. Also recognizing that at some point you're going to have to find, it can't be attached to something outside of you. You have to know what it is that drives you inside. Okay, I like movement. I like supporting physical growth and stability or what have you. And I think that that's important to find what that is for you so you know how to continue to grow that. It doesn't always mean you have to physically be putting your body through something. You found that supporting other people through it is also a really positive motivating factor for you.
Have you ever used outside locuses of control to also guide your own internal dialogue?
Have I ever used external locuses of control? Just ever in life, I'm sure. Nothing is specifically coming to mind right now, but in business, I don't know that I have.
Interesting.
My path has been pretty direct. the trajectory of it.
That's cool.
Actually, I think I didn't really intend to go into brick and mortar. I didn't intend to open up a retail location.
That's one hell of a feat.
And now I have one. This isn't my first location either. This is my second location. We expanded into this one. I didn't expect to expand either. I was just like, okay, I'll do this right now. And it was not planned. There was no long-term plan. It was like, I'm going to do this right now until it doesn't work. And then when I moved into this space, I'm like, I'm going to do this right now until it doesn't work. Now I'm in an MBA program, so I can start making some plans and giving direction based off of patterns in history. But I only really opened up a physical location because we were being asked to by community. I didn't have a goal in my mind to have a space for people to gather, for people to come and shop, because online was successful. I could have kept my overhead so low.
So low.
We could have kept the demand for everything within our control on our website. Now we're a lot more open. Now we're a lot more accessible. There's a lot more commitment required to having a physical space, but I did it because community was asking for a space. And this was during COVID. This was when people were looking for ways to connect to other people that was safe still, but especially to help manage their fear and anxiety around what was happening in the world. That's why we were able to grow so much during that period of time, is because people were looking for alternative sources to peace of mind than what they had. And they wanted a space to kind of congregate. They wanted a space to be able to come and ask questions. And with all these newfound ideas, because COVID gave us a lot of time to sit down and learn some new practices and ask some more questions and kind of go down rabbit holes, now they want places to be able to go and buy all the things that they're newly interested in. That was the request that we received. So I answered it. So I responded to that external, I don't want to call it pressure as in a negative, because it wasn't negative, but it was the pressure to find somewhere that I could show up for community in.
I can't get over the fact that you still also you have a brick and mortar.
Yeah. In this economy, yeah.
I mean, during COVID, I would assume is when you got your loans, which is a great time to get money.
Ben.
No?
I got no loans.
Congratulations.
I got no loans.
Bootstrap.
PPP, they said that I didn't qualify because I didn't have employees at the time to qualify. I only had 1099s.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's rough.
You know, it hit me like a ton of bricks during that time when everybody was flexing their thousands of dollars free money they were getting during that time. I'm like, wow. And here I am following the law and just listening.
How could you?
Could have flexed it a little bit.
You could have. I mean, that is a flex in itself. Well, I have all mine without all this free money.
I would have liked the free money, honestly.
I mean, who didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who wouldn't have?
Who didn't? Huh.
It was, yeah. So fun times.
Yeah. But it was bootstrapped. There were a lot of lessons learned. Still are continuous lessons being learned from kind of jumping straight into entrepreneurship with no direction. No real, no capital, no direction or planning. Like, it's all really been sink or swim, and I've just been a really good swimmer.
What was your first introduction to oh shit, this is actually a lot more difficult than I anticipated?
I fully funded our expansion from our revenue. It took about $100,000 to expand from the 700 square foot space we were in our first location to the nearly 3,000 square foot space we're in right now. And I had no understanding of business credit at that time. I had no real understanding of using other people's money to get to the next point. And so when I saw my cash flow just dwindling down, I'm like, how do people kind of navigate this when this happens? And that's when I had to learn.
YouTube.
That's when I learned you ask for money when you don't need money. And you don't use your own money to grow. Lessons learned.
You can use some of your own money at the
Some
very
of it.
beginning,
You don't use all of it.
but you don't use all of it.
Yeah.
You like cash. We like having liquid.
Cash.
We like having liquid.
Yeah.
Liquid's a good thing to have.
Yeah. And when I found my new accountant, she said that was really ambitious of you to go from a 700 square foot space to a 3,000 square foot space. I probably would have went for like a 1,500 square foot space.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that would have been a good idea, huh? I wish I had some business advice during that time.
Having the right people around you makes such a big difference.
It's so important. It's important to have people who have knowledge of entrepreneurship and what you're doing. I honestly, and on this journey, I've also had to learn how to ask for help, because I'd like to believe, well, I've been doing it fine thus far. I must know it. I must know how to get it done. Easy peasy. It'll continue to work the way that I'm doing it. That's not real. And so, unfortunately, I am a hard-headed individual that has to learn through trial and error. Or I was. Now I listen to other people's stories and I learn from the experiences of others. But ego had me in a place where I could figure this out on my own. And ego will have you bootstrapping it, stressed out, exhausted, burnt out. And I gained like 80 pounds through that whole process. I was tapped, man. I was tapped.
You're being very tapped.
So tapped.
So you start your online, the e-commerce portion, and you start seeing that guy grow. Whenever I first started doing e-commerce stuff, I started exposing myself, I guess, to like Google ads. I'd never done Google ads, never even knew that they existed. I knew it was sponsored on, like, whenever you Google the first couple things that's sponsored, understood that was paid for. I didn't really understand that, and understand how accessible it was. Did you use those tools, and what did you use to learn how to use those tools, and were they effective for you?
I did not use Google ads for anything. I was working with Facebook ads for a little bit of time so I started my business in 2017. I think I started doing promotions on like Facebook in 2018 or so. In 2019, they banned my ad account on Facebook.
Why?
Facebook doesn't tell you when they make decisions.
Okay.
And I've appealed it several times, appeal. I finally reached my last appeal. They said that they're firm on their decision and there is nothing I can do. So that means that since 2019, I haven't been able to advertise on Facebook or Meta, and I didn't know anything about Google ads. I was doing Yelp ads a little bit when I opened up the store, because Yelp reached out to us and was like, you have a store now, you should do Yelp ads. I was like, cool. Can't really say that I saw much of a return on my investment, so I pulled back on that. So our growth has been like 99% organic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How do you maintain those relationships with your clients or customers that are able to that's able to grow it so organically?
We started in the community. When I tell you that, like, our pop-up events, I didn't realize at the time that I was really building the foundation of my business for years to come when I was popping up at 2-3 events a weekend. But I truly was. And so when I moved out of Oakland, people wanted to know how to still purchase my products. I had developed trust. It's a lot that you get a lot from face to face. And so that face-to-face, the community was sharing it with one another. So this person trusts me. That means the person you tell about me and my offerings and stuff is going to trust me too, because they trust you. And that's how I kind of have been able to build value, reputation in the community, is because I honestly connect to people soul to soul. I want people to become the best version of themselves. I'm not in it for the money. If I was in it for the money, I would have been a lot smarter with how I use my money. Fair. And I would be a lot more shady with some of my business practices. And there are folks who are in this industry that do that 100%. That's never been my thing. And I think that's how I've been able to maintain the relationships, even moving all the way to Las Vegas from California. I didn't have any support here. I had no family here. I had no customer base here. I had no following here, nothing. But I moved my business here and I was solely online. And then people, I'm coming to Vegas, or I'm moving to Vegas too, or Vegas finding us being local. Vegas showed up in droves during the pandemic to our grand opening. We had way more people than we should have had present in that space, both of our grand openings. Wow. And I feel like it's truly because of the way that I connect, not just me, but the other people on my team, my partner, how we connect to the people in our community is from a place of love and authenticity. And I think we don't see that enough in business relationships. And so when you do find that, when you find that connection, you want to stay with that. You want to continue to shop with or support those companies.
I never realized. I moved here. I was around a lot of like very wealthy individuals. I've always been around a lot of wealthy individuals, but I didn't until I really met a couple of them, and they weren't so loud about it, and they were kind. I was like, "Oh, you can do both." I thought to be a good business owner, you had to be kind of like a dick. And that's just what I was around. And then when I was building houses, there were several of us, and it was, I consistently had the most success, both under budget, more like significantly under time, or like beat timelines, better customer reviews, better like overall product. And I had the least experience out of everybody in the community I was with, but I just treated my people well. Pay them twice, pay them 3 times. Like, does it really matter that much if I'm making this kind of money off of this house? They can take another $2,000 from me. It's okay. Mm-hmm. And like that person was going to show up for me at 6:00 at night and clean a house for me if I needed them to, because there was just like hey, like, do you mind? I know that your family, I'll pay you time and a half. Like, I'll do whatever I can to support you. Versus the other people I was with, like, you motherfucker, why aren't you showing up again? Like, I need you now. It's like, what do you mean? It's 7 a.m. Like, fuck no, I'm not going to show up to this person that's just yelling at me in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And so it was a really nice realization when it was just like, you can be kind and still be profitable.
Yep.
What a concept.
What a concept. Who knew? People always associate wealth with dickishness.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think that it has to be that way. I think that's just the way it's shown up the most. But that's because dicks are loud.
Dicks are loud.
Dicks are loud.
Yeah.
I truly don't feel like everyone who desires to make money and does make money and is in alignment with their purpose and is doing well in life feels the need to be loud. It's a quietness. It's not even that you're choosing to be quiet. It's just that what's understood doesn't need to be said. It can be felt. If people feel your kindness, that goes further than people hearing it.
I always thought that you had to create relationships with, and I still think this is somewhat true, and I kind of want to ask, I guess before I tell you, I guess, what was how did you navigate relationships with people like around Chamber of Commerce or other realtors, or finding the best spot, like the people that are makers, what do they call it? Shakers and movers, to be able to create the business. And how did you interact with them in comparison to how you interacted with customers, both in level of time commitment, like towards those events, like networking, stuff like that, or just servicing the community?
Yeah, I tend to navigate those environments similarly because I tend to show up as like one version of myself in most places, unless I feel like I need to be more closed off for whatever energetic protection reasons. I can pretty much show up as myself in every capacity. So the person that you see with customers is the person that I'm with at networking events, is the person that I am with realtors and the people who are going to make big impacts on my company. So, for example, when we first moved here, we were in a condo that got flooded out when the water heater basically exploded. This was 2 weeks into COVID.
Nice.
When the toilet paper shortage was really hitting. We got put into a hotel during that period of time. So thankfully we didn't have any toilet paper issues, but we were standing in line at one point. Before we knew we were going to the hotel, we stood in line at 6 a.m. at Winco.
Damn.
For their toilet paper delivery. It was crazy.
I didn't even know that there was an issue with like any.
You just keep stockpiles of toilet paper?
Well, when I had a bidet, but I also didn't.
Okay.
I ate out probably too much, and so pretty much every day for every meal for everything. And so I finally went to the grocery store. I was like, what are all these people complaining about? And I went to the grocery store and I was like, wow.
Yeah,
this
shelves
is a
were
problem.
empty.
Like I had never seen shelves like that. What a weird. It was so odd.
Yeah.
And it was like a year into a COVID, or probably not a year, but
what
it was
a privilege
wild...
to have a bidet and a budget to eat out all the time. you get to disconnect completely from the common folk.
I'm a real human. Yes.
and so we were put up in that hotel while they were solving the problem. Eventually they realized they wouldn't be able to fix the issue with us living in the condo. So they let us break our lease, and we were looking to find a new place to move. Found another condo. The realtor who was helping us, the realtor who was basically managing that condo, is the one who actually handled my commercial lease.
Nice.
Deal 2 years later.
Very cool.
So I stayed in contact with him, but it was just genuine conversation and sharing what it was that we did. And his daughter loved crystals. His daughter was obsessed with what we do. His daughter, his mom, they all became customers at our shop. And that was at our first location. So when I was looking to expand, I said, well, let's hit up Andrew. Let's hit up the guy who helped us with finding our space currently, our house at the time. And so we did, and that's how we got there. I handle the relationships all very similarly. So navigating within like the chamber and this is like to my benefit and my detriment sometimes too, because I can also be very humble, and because I'm quiet, people kind of underestimate the type of business that I do have. You hear crystal shop, you make your own preconceived ideas. You're like, okay, she's hippy dippy, woo woo. What do the folks call it? Fake science, science or whatever.
Sure, I was gonna say Soho.
Pseudoscience. All that stuff, they'll box me in immediately and not take into account my years of business experience, education, all of that. And so sometimes I find myself being limited in my ability to connect to certain people because they've already created these pre-established ideas based on what it is that I do. And sometimes I internalize that and I say, no, I'm not going to even try to talk to those people because who are they to think less of me, right? And that's also ego speaking. And I'm able to put that to the side too. That's an opportunity to educate people on what it is that I do and what kinds of people are my customers, because my customers are also your customers too. My customers are no different than anyone else's customers. They're just like you, except they're looking for spiritual fulfillment. Period. That's the only difference. They're looking for means to find gratification, purpose, support in life. So
that could be a different market. Sometimes some of the people that are more closed off maybe aren't as maybe as understanding of their own purpose within, or and maybe that's the kind of clientele that they attract. And so sometimes I wonder, maybe that person that automatically assumes that, you know, it's just it's another woo-woo business that's going to go out of business or whatever, that's not doing well, or there's no way it could generate revenue. They like, okay, I'll just go to, like, do you know how many other CPAs and blah, blah, blah there are? Like attorney, whatever I need, like there's hundreds of you.
Yeah.
And there's, if I remember correctly, like one of you.
Mm-hmm.
So who's the one that's losing?
You're right. You're right. And it's not my task. It's not my responsibility or assignment to convince that person otherwise. I do like a challenge, though. Just naturally, who I am. I like to see people where they are, and I like to help people identify with love areas in their life that they could expand their own wellness practice, their own spiritual wellness practice. You're burnt out. You're rich, but you're burnt out. Like, you are unhappy. You are overworked. You have no work-life balance. You don't even know where to begin when it comes to setting time for yourself or finding things that make you happy and joyful. That's the problem, right? Like, you deserve joy, right? Just as a human being, you've given so much. Why is it that you have a hard time receiving? Why can't you pour back into yourself?
I think it might be this this unsaid rule of, well, that's how business works. Right? Like the dicks are loud, business owners are dicks. Kind of mentality that I guess I had is probably something similar. It's like this is just what it is. Mm-hmm. Owning a business is hard, and you don't have a life. And it's like, well, actually, you could.
Just like you can be kind and wealthy, you could be happy and wealthy. You could be fulfilled and wealthy. What's the point of running a business that's running you into the ground? If you don't have any opportunity to enjoy the fruits of your labor, what's the point? Why do you do it? Is it just for the money? That's an endless journey. That's an endless chase. There's never going to be a number. There's never a number that's going to be enough. That's how we end up with people like Elon Musk. There's so many.
I like Elon.
I bet you do, but I bet you do. I drive a Tesla, so what can I say?
Yeah, there you go.
Man, that guy.
He does a lot of really good things, but he also does drive himself into a pit. But at the same time, that is probably fulfilling. Constantly using his brain.
I don't think anything about him is fulfilled.
I think that I would argue that. I don't know the guy, obviously, and so you like be able to sit with him, have a conversation. I would imagine he's probably pretty fulfilled. I mean, obviously his love life is a little bit interesting, and he's a very, at times, angry man, but a very driven human being.
Mm-hmm. Is drive fulfillment?
For some people.
Where are you driving to? Is there a destination?
Yeah, he is. He has specific desires.
I just saw that he's going to be like the first trillionaire in the world.
By 2027, I think.
Do you think he has a cap on how much money would make him satisfied?
I don't think he cares about the money.
What do you feel like is his driver?
Just from the podcasts I've listened to, I think he's very much so devoted to improving the human race. Does he maybe have the best tools for that? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But his mission is, we need to get off of this planet and go somewhere. We need to be able to make this place sustainable. We need to preserve what we currently have. And nobody else is doing this. And nobody else is making enough progress. And everybody else is creating excuses. And like, there's ways around, like, I'm in the probably like last quarter of the book with, I forget who wrote it, but he's the same guy who did Steve Jobs as well. I forgot last train of thought.
I don't want to get too far into the philosophy of Elon Musk because we don't know his motivations. However, I do feel like from the parts of Elon that I see show up to the most, I see him show up like on X, for example, and the types of rhetoric that he kind of puts out into the community, into the world. He's got the most money of anyone in the world. He's got one of the largest platforms in the world. He has a lot of influence, and I don't see him using his influence in ways that build the community equitably. I see him lean very deeply into the darker parts of humanity often. And I believe that a fulfilled person gets no gratification out of doing that to anyone. I think that if we're measuring fulfillment based on just the tangibles, what we see being put out there, the things that they have, then that's one way to say, okay, sure, I'm sure he's fulfilled. He has it all. He has everything he could ever want. But the intangible parts, the things that really that show up when you're stripped away, when all of that is stripped away, all the things that you have, all the titles, all of the materialism is stripped. Who are you on the inside? If we're just going off of how the person is showing up in the world and in the community, I think that it shows someone who needs to dig a little bit deeper in healing the parts of themselves that they find so triggered in so many different ways today.
I think what's weird is that I could perceive that as care. He cares so deeply about things that he gets quote unquote triggered by something.
Okay. We could call triggering caring.
It is.
It's a form. It's a form of care. Is it a healthy care? Is it toxic?
No change is happening, then I think you can say something like 5 times and then finally you're just like, somebody, what the fuck are we doing? No?
Sure.
Do you disagree?
I do.
Okay, elaborate.
I do, and that's okay.
Yeah,
we don't have to.
That's what the listeners want. They want to hear us disagree.
They want to hear us disagree with each
say.
other. I don't like to spend my time talking about Elon Musk. I think that triggers and caring, so triggers from a place of trauma and caring from a place of love are not the same thing. What's your ultimate goal here?
The same goal. It's just how it's displayed.
Okay. I disagree. I think if your care is led with love, I feel like if your motivation is to unify, to bring love about, that's one thing. I feel like if your triggers create discord, if your triggers do harm to any parts of the community, then your triggers are toxic and detrimental, but especially when you have a massive platform and influence like someone of his stature.
I realize that with a larger platform, with great power, comes great responsibility, right? But just because he's this up-and-coming trillionaire...
That's crazy. Like,
crazy.
That's crazy to conceptualize.
Doesn't mean that he's not human.
Oh, yeah, he's human.
Doesn't mean that he's not perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Or that he is perfect.
I agree.
So why is there not space to give him... Why not give him enough space to say, oh, he's also not perfect and he has these things?
Yeah,
it just happens to be louder than maybe me or you. But I'm going to create... Maybe I could create as much impact in my community as he's creating in his. His just happens to be larger. But mine's probably more, I think, immediately impactful.
I think it's important to hold space for people who are up and coming trillionaires to be human also, because we do a thing where we dehumanize them and we make them like these like beings of grandeur than they actually are. It's important for us to humanize him, but it's important for him to be able to remember that he's human as well. And these triggers are part of his human responses. However, with great power comes great responsibility, and I don't make the fucking rules. Like, you are that guy. It means you have a responsibility to the collective.
To show that you're human.
To show that you'd rather create the peace that you're saying. Or what did you say? He wants to save the planet, or to
protect the human race.
Protect the human race. To show that you really want to protect the human race by supporting the evolution of the human race from a place of love and not discord. And I feel like he sows more discord than he creates peace. But that's my view. You don't have to agree, but I also believe in leading with love in everything that I do. If I'm connected to anybody in any way, I'm wanting to connect from a space of, I want to see you grow. I want to see you happy. I want to see you fulfilled, because I love you enough to want that for you. And I don't see some of the things that he says and does as that being the root intention of his conversations. And like I said, it just comes from a space of trigger or unhealed, what have you. But he's a human still. At the end of the day, he's just got a massive influence, and there is some responsibility with that.
You lead with love, except when your friends ask you where you get your capes.
Because I don't wear capes, Ben. I think a cape connects like at the collar, and
No.
it like flows in the back. I'm pretty sure.
It's pretty flowy.
I'm pretty sure it connects at the collar. Don't skip over the first point.
I don't think it does. Batman
think
wears
it
a
does.
cape and it doesn't connect.
How's it attached to his shoulders?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't
Yours
have that
attaches
either.
to your shoulders.
No, mine actually connects to my sleeves. These are sleeves.
So it's
Capes don't have sleeves. Capes don't have sleeves.
I
That
don't
should
know
be the
that to be a
primary
fact.
point.
I don't know that to be
Does
a fact.
Batman have sleeves?
Yeah.
He has cape sleeves?
Well, I don't know. They're connected to his cape.
Does Superman have sleeves?
Yes.
Cape sleeves?
I don't know that.
Yeah.
There's not
Who
enough
else wears
information.
a cape? Yeah. Robin. Does Robin have sleeves?
Probably.
Cape sleeves?
I don't know that to be a fact.
Yeah.
I plead
Didn't
the
think so.
fifth.
So if you were to ask the right question, I would give you the right answer. But instead, I declined with love.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you went from online, in person. At what point do you start adding new products? How do you price products? How do you choose? Because like I'm not in it for the money, but at the same time, I'm still a business. I still got to make money. So what is a comfortable approach that you use that's fair, competitive, but also continues to grow the business? I guess let's start there.
I price my items competitively. There are, in this industry, let's say, for example, the crystal, the salt you have right there. In this industry, people will sell that for as much as $350 or as low as $5.
God damn.
Yeah. And it really just depends on where you are.
That sounds like $350 right there to me.
I'm sure it does.
You want to buy some?
My target audience would not pay $350 for that.
Really?
Yeah, my clients would not pay $350 for that. But part of that is because I educate them on the quality of the minerals that they're purchasing.
That's pretty high quality
And
mineral.
what they should be buying and what they're getting ripped off on. That's like really important to me also. Because I get my products, I have a lot of the same vendors that some of these other shops have as well. And I know when the markup is 700%. Like, that's craziness. I want my stuff to be accessible because the people that my customers, the people that I want to reach, the people who I feel need it the most, can't always pay $350 for one crystal. That's not a thing for everyone, and I recognize that. So I want to be more accessible, but I also want to be able to afford to stay in business. So there has to be a balance here. So I might price things a little bit higher, not as high as some of my competitors, but I'm also going to offer sales and discounts, and I'm going to give you coupon codes, and I'm going to celebrate the change of seasons, the fall equinox tomorrow. We're having a sale. You know, like I'm going to meet you where you are in many ways, as long as you show up and meet me where I am, and we can keep doing it back and forth. But I don't want to ever price anyone out of being able to afford things, which in some ways makes me not an ideal business owner, because at the end of the day, some folks will say the bottom line is the profit. I don't necessarily disagree with that, because we have to make money. We have to sustain, like, my business sustains my family. Like, I need to be able to afford to live.
11 needs food.
11 needs food. Who's going to feed 11 if I'm selling all of my crystals for 50 cents? There has to be a give and take. And I think that I found a pretty good balance over the years in my pricing structure. Not as high as the other guy, but not so cheap that I can't make any profit and my business suffers for it. Ben?
Thank you. Fuck.
Great question.
How do you align your brand with vendors? How do you look for the right vendors?
I go to different vending events, or not vending events, but different trade shows. So crystal shows, the Tucson Gem Show is a big one. The Denver Gem Show is a big one. Those happen every year. And when I first started, I was going to each one yearly. I haven't been in a few years, though, because the vendors I've established are the vendors that I still work with. And that's been beneficial for me year after year. And we've built like really strong relationships of trust, and I value those. I mean, loyalty, all of that. They're still in business, which means I can continue to stay in business. They're supportive and understanding of what I do. They continue to support me. So if I need a net 30 on my account, a net 60 on my account, they do that to make sure that we are able to work with the timeline we need to work with to sell the products. I can't get that off of a relationship with a new vendor off the street. So developing these relationships and like maintaining them over the years has been really important.
What was a product that you brought into the business that was not successful?
I think I should be more, through my MBA program, I'm learning how to look at things as whether or not it's important to keep it around or if it's time to let something go. I don't think I've let go of as much as I probably should have throughout the years, because I would like to, I do still kind of have all the same products that I've had since I've started, which is why my inventory is so robust. But I did discontinue like a line of candles that I used to create because it was too taxing, too time consuming to make, and I no longer enjoyed the process. So looking less at the profitability of something and more at the enjoyment that I think comes from having the product is a driver for me. But again, I'm in my EMBA program because I don't think that is the best way to operate a business, and that could cost us down the line. And so we are looking at what's not selling as much as other things. Because again, we have over 1,000 products. We're looking at what things we can cut back on. Instead of selling like books on my website, I took books off of my website because they weren't selling as fast, especially when there's Amazon who can get it to you the next day. Yeah. I don't have those delivery times. But that was something that people could get from multiple sources. So that meant I didn't need to have it on my site. So we took that off, especially when I had inventory sitting in the back of my shop in my order fulfillment area that's just sitting there because we have it reserved for online when online's not going to queendomcultivation.com for books when they could go to Amazon. Bless you.
Thank you. Excuse me. I feel like I sneezed in front of the camera and everyone's going to see it.
I thought you were blocking so that I didn't hear it in my headphones.
That's what I did.
It deafened me. Okay.
Yeah, I blocked to save the ears.
Okay, but now everyone's going to watch. Ears,
but now everyone's going to see all the saliva in the camera.
Because you didn't cover your mouth.
Yeah.
I'm in a really confined space with you, too. I don't appreciate that
I think I have COVID, too.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think we should have rescheduled this.
Yeah, too late.
I would have appreciated your consideration. Oh. Is that assault?
Yes. No. No. Cut that out. Cut that entire bit out. So you walk into your 3,000 square foot new location. Mm-hmm. What are your first steps? You have a lot of space to go from 700 to 3,000.
Do you know how insane it was? And I already name dropped my realtor's name. Love Shout that guy. Out. Love that guy.
Shout him out. Give him some love.
there were things that I did not know about the commercial leasing process that I think would have been advantageous to know in advance.
Debbie.
I moved from 700 square feet to 3,000 square feet. I signed my lease on December 14th and was opening the new location January 1st.
Damn, bro.
During the holidays. So we were completely packing up one location while also trying to remain open, maintain, sales or whatever to support the transition. Because again, all my money going into moving, right? So not much of a cushion to be able to lose money. So we were moving simultaneously as being open in the first location. So we're packing up boxes of the things that we know we can move over. And then after Christmas came, we took 2 days to really move everything over. But we were open for business, our soft opening, January 1st.
Damn.
So when I walked into that location on December 14th, it was like, time to do this here. We got to call the painters in to get the walls all painted so that everything matches the aesthetic, the branding. We've got to go shopping. We got to get furniture. We have to get shelves built. We have to get things built. We built shit. I have to reach out to this person. I'm going to need this project done. I have to draw it out for them to be able to build it so they know what my vision is for the project. I have to also make sure that my staff is packing, still selling. I'm over here. Is the mural being done correctly? No. Okay, we need to find a new muralist. All right, so I'm managing so many things in this transition, this 2-week transition from 700 square feet to 3,000 square feet. But when I tell you we did it and it was bomb, you would never know that's the only time we had. But what crushed me was the vacant unit next to our new 3,000 square foot space at the time. The vacant unit was then leased out probably about 8 months in, and she got a whole month free of rent to be able to set up her store.
Oops.
And apparently that's negotiated in the lease.
Rough.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
And then the guys that moved in after got 6 months free while they waited on permits and approvals and shit. And I said, I forced myself to move in 2 weeks when I could have gotten a month and a half. And I was doing this because I didn't want to I didn't want to pay rent in a space that I wasn't using. So I wanted it to be open, right? Because I'm paying now for 2 locations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy
Rough.
Times. That was rough.
Rough.
That hit me in the chest. Forgot how to breathe for 2.5 seconds.
So then, at that point, did you already have plans for the rest of the space? How much of that is retail space and how much of that is storage or office?
We have a 1,046 square foot event space inside. So I already had a calendar of events planned. We have our retail space, which is also about 1,000 feet of space. And that was already planned out, visualized, already being put together. Then we have four rooms. 2 of those rooms are service rooms. I knew I wanted to have a room for energy healing, so we have an energy room. And I wanted to have a room for, at the time, it was readings, like tarot, oracle, all that stuff. We no longer have that, so now it's a wellness room. We have an herbalist. We have spiritual wellness coaching happening in that room. And then the other 2 rooms are offices, so we do our product creation and order fulfillment. And then we have 2 bathrooms. We have a break area, all of that, where we had none of that before. And then we have a storage closet too. Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Insane amounts.
Yeah. You should come.
I do want to go. I've been telling myself that I was going to go for a while and still haven't.
Wow.
I haven't gotten invited.
Your car been broken down?
I just never got invited.
Oh, never?
No.
Huh. Weird. Who was supposed to send out the invitations?
I think either you or your executive assistant.
Oh, I'll get on that.
Yeah.
You should have done that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I was going to take my
formal? Do you need like, should it be like
handwritten,
signature?
ideally.
Okay.
My address you have.
Okay. I just got that though, so I'm not sure how I would
You've
give
had
you
that
the
now for a
formal,
while.
the certified mail delivery without knowing the address.
You had it for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
A week. It was a week.
Nah. It was a week.
Ben, we have receipts. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have receipts.
It was a week.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
I tried.
you are invited.
Thanks.
But I'll make sure something formally gets sent out, a directive,
Even
maybe
a
an
text?
announcement, maybe a billboard.
Ooh.
I did have billboards at my first location. So we didn't do ads. Instead, the big guys from Lamar, the billboard company, came to me and said, how would you like to be on a billboard? And I said, that's cool. $5,000 a month. Oh, that's cool.
Ow.
Yeah, cool. I had so much money because our overhead was so low in the 700 square foot space that we were in. I was like, sure, here's $5,000 for 3 months straight for some billboards.
Easy.
You can't measure it. You can't measure the impact. No. All right. It's a digital billboard, so it's going to be flipping. So some people might see it, some people might not. Cool.
Was it a worthy investment?
No, Ben, doesn't sound like it was a worthy investment. I got to say I was on a billboard, which at the time was really important to me for whatever reasons. Was that my
ego?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it does kind of sound like a fruitful endeavor. Like this is brand recognition.
It was.
Obviously, there's a lot of billboards.
Yeah.
There's a lot of personal injury attorneys. What time is it?
7:56.
How long have we been going?
I don't know. You started late.
We got like 20 minutes.
Okay.
We have technical difficulties, aka she's on the phone in the middle of a podcast.
Apologies. I have people checking in on me because, I'm doing a 75 hard challenge and I'm supposed to be working out tonight.
So that's a great, beautiful transition because, yes. So you're being a business owner. Two different questions. And I guess we'll start with the health and fitness one because I guess that makes more sense. So the health and fitness one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, something like that.
The index finger.
Index finger?
Mm-hmm.
That one?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
So.
Ben, what's the question?
Oh yeah, sorry.
ADHD. I know. I'm here to support.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the question. So you're
health and fitness.
Yeah, you're on the 75 hard journey. You said earlier that you had gained 80 pounds. How did you start to lose it, and then why? And then why the 75 hard?
I've seen so many people in my family develop comorbidities that were preventable. I was neglecting my health. I wasn't eating nearly as well as I should have been, or as much as I should have been. I wasn't spreading my meals out throughout the day. I would have one big meal in the evening and forget to eat throughout the rest of the day and just do that day after day after day. And it would probably be like a trash meal anyway. And then it would just and I was vegan at the time. You could be a fat vegan. Shout out to the fat vegans.
That's weird.
Yes, and I don't mean
really
fat in a
weird.
derogatory way at all.
Well,
you can be a plus size vegan, and I was, because carbs were my bestie.
Oreos are vegan.
Oreos are vegan. Say that all the time.
Yep.
And I had dabbled into and that was just, I had been vegan for 5 years. I was vegetarian before that. I haven't eaten beef since 2008, and I still don't eat beef. I cut that out. I had cut out pork for a long period of time. I still cut out pork since 2014. So I have always had discipline when it comes to what I eat within some capacity. But there's certain things like sugars and all that stuff that are just my joys in life. And I started to stress eat all of my emotions and feelings and stress from opening a store and not knowing what the fuck was going on, but just kind of doing it. So then I started to look at ways to improve my health. I've always been in the gym. That's the thing. When I was in undergrad is when I started going to the gym regularly and developing a relationship with movement and weightlifting. And weightlifting is my favorite thing. I've never been a cardio girly, but I've started running, training for a 5K. So that's cool. I'm going to run the rock and roll marathon. But at the time, I had always seen the gym as a means to losing weight, never as a means to becoming healthy. It was always just lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. We get caught up in diet culture and this whole, we need to be skinny to be attractive and blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. Because you can be thick and fine, okay? And I agree with that statement. And so over time, I started to recognize that I was leading a terrible path of unhealthiness, and it wouldn't be sustainable. So many of my family members have been sick, have gotten sick, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, all of that. And I decided it wasn't going to be me. So I made some changes in my life and started to implement like disciplinary practices. And so now I'm at a place where I feel comfortable to take on like a 75 hard challenge because I've prioritized my health and wellness over my business. And so I know a lot of business owners think that like the business comes first. And if you don't honestly say that to yourself, I'm sure you're still operating in that regardless of if you'll admit it or not. But a lot of people will put their business before their health. They'll check their emails before they drink water in the morning. They will stay up late working instead of getting a good night's rest. Like there's so much urgency that we've put on operating our businesses that everything has to happen now. And when we do that, our wellness falls to the wayside. And so that's what I was doing for so long. I've decided not to do that anymore. I'm not even doing that with school. Now that I'm in this program, I'm still choosing to put myself, my health, my rest first. And I will not work myself into the ground for any type of external source. Just not going to do it anymore. And that's my business. And that's with academia. So what was the other part of your question?
I think I'm going to highlight something there. I think it's just, I don't know. Obviously, people know that I'm in the health and fitness industry. I'm a personal trainer.
You are?
Kind of sometimes. And I just think it's like one of the it is such a valuable piece of my own personal growth in life and being uncomfortable and understanding when to rest and learning when to ask for help. And like, it's such an area that I think highlights a lot of really key wisdom in such a short period of time. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone should do it.
Mm-hmm. Become a personal trainer?
AKA hit me up if you need personal training.
Go get personal training.
Yeah. Or personal training, or just be in the fucking gym.
Yeah.
Like, just move a little bit. Like, I don't like the relationship with the gym. I think everybody starts at a different pace, a different place, a different history. And so sometimes, yeah, you need help from a personal trainer. Sometimes you work with a personal trainer. Just like, I'm just not a fan of having somebody there. Cool. I don't like, that's great.
That's weird.
Some people just don't like it. Right. And that's just for some people. I think like not some elite athlete. Well, some athletes that I've worked with in the past are just like, I'd rather be on my own. Like, okay, cool. That's like, it's just not for you. It's not for you. Mm-hmm. But at the very least, I think it teaches and it highlights a lot of the things that we have the opportunity to transfer into our own either business or personal lives. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, same.
Because we're coming short on time, I'm going to ask you another question, kind of speed running a little bit now.
Okay.
How do you manage personal relationships given that you're an entrepreneur?
I do what I can when I can, and I don't overcommit to anything. And that's with all relationships. And so in my romantic relationships, I am really big on emotional support from a space of abundance. If I can't pour into you because I'm depleted, then I need to allow myself I need space to fill my cup back up. I'm not going to try and give and give and give more than what I have. And that's to romantic relationships, that's to friendships, all relationships. I have boundaries now. I'm a recovering people pleaser. And so I spent a lot of my life just being over available to people. And it also wore me down and burned me out. And then what did I get in return? Like, there was no return on that investment whatsoever in the few times I've needed it. And so I've just recognized that it's really important to pour more into myself so that I can pour better into other people when the time comes. And it's important to be able to say no, or I can't. And from a space of love, not out of like, I don't want to, or I don't think you deserve it. It's just, I don't have it to give. And I'd appreciate it if that's respected. And so because I'm in school, because I'm running a business, I think that it's even more important for me to be able to say that now, because there are so many different things that I'm juggling. One of my mentors says she carries the important things in her mind. She sees the important things like her children as her glass balls. You can't drop your glass balls when you're juggling. Those will shatter. So she makes sure that she prioritizes her kids' well-being more than anything else, even herself. And I don't have kids. And I don't intend to have kids because I don't think that I would even be able to do that, not dropping the glass balls. And so it's important. I have to just know what my limits are, what my ability to be, I don't want to say available, but just my overall ability to show up well for the people in my life. I have to make sure that I'm taking care of myself first.
How does Queendom Cultivation align with spiritual and holistic health and wellness? How does that name?
The name of the business.
Correct.
Queendom. So we live in a toxically patriarchal society, right? And so everything is kingdom this, the king, the king, the king. We don't talk enough about the queens, right? But I'm not just talking about women. I'm talking about Mother Earth. We have a responsibility to take care of the earth, nature, to make sure that we're able to sustain life here. I know Elon's trying to get us out of here, but like while we're here, we should probably figure it out because he's not going to take everybody. So we should find ways to connect more with the earth. So establishing presence in the queendom and using the tools, so the herbs, the crystals, to cultivate better relationships within ourselves. So we're using Queendom Cultivation. Boom. To become the highest version of ourselves.
I love that answer.
Thank you. That's great. Like my mission statement. So thank you.
Did you create one of those?
I have a vision statement too.
What? Share it.
I don't know it off the top of my head. Yeah. Our vision is to be pioneers in the spiritual wellness industry, to hold space for people to explore and thrive within a spiritual space. Yeah, it's there. It's there. You can find it on my website and my business plan.
If what you just said isn't
on
your website,
should I put it up there?
Quote unquote, if it's not on the website, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, it's up there.
Because I'm going to reference this podcast and then be like, well, there's some rebranding.
It'll be there tonight.
It'll
be there by the time you put it on. By the time you release this episode.
Okay. Fair. I had another question for you. It was a good one.
That's why I told you should have these written down somewhere and probably give them to me in advance.
No.
Okay.
Lame.
Okay.
I like more of a free flow conversation because if something's interesting to me, then I'm just going to fucking run with it.
Yeah. Just drop the script.
I don't like scripts. I feel like they're not as authentic. I want a real life conversation. What does a real life conversation look like? And who are you without prep? I fucking hate prep.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Same.
Like, you can tell on camera when someone's just like reciting something. I mean, we see it with politicians all the time, and it's so inauthentic, and honestly, I find it fucking gross. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, I don't script or really look for any questions before I meet with my people.
You don't write out any questions?
Nothing.
You don't?
This is everything off the dome.
You just let it?
100%.
Huh.
This is everything off the dome.
Wow.
Otherwise, I don't know. I just feel like it's...
I think I would have a couple a couple areas that I'm like, okay, this person's coming. I know I'm going to want to ask about that.
I mean, sometimes, yes, I'll have those, but like, yeah, I think I have general concepts and I have an interest in who Jazz is.
You have concepts of a plan? We don't have to go there.
Reference it. Tag him. We want you on, buddy.
Oh, we want.
Such a great speaker. So, yeah, I don't know. I find more value in it just being real and authentic and in the moment. And I have concepts. Like, again, I have an interest in who Jazz is, but like, how much deep dive am I going to do? Or like, we've already had a lot of conversations. And so I have a fairly okay idea, but I think it allows for just a better conversation. Just really, I think is.
I support that.
Yeah. All right. Any questions? Any comments? Concerns?
Any questions, comments, or concerns for you?
Yeah.
It's your podcast, man.
Cool, buddy. Well, that's all I got for you. I think there's more, but whatever. Ron, you have to go get your workout. I'm not going to take away from that.
You know, if something comes up, we're still flowing.
It's all right.
Do you have a restroom?
Yeah. I'll let you go before we leave.
Okay.
I want to hold you hostage until then. Where?
Because I have to also drink a gallon of water on this program.
Yeah, you
so
do.
like I have to pee all the time.
Yeah, 100%. So where do people find you? Oh, talk about your coaching services versus products. When did you start introducing services?
Yeah, so we've started when
Unless you really got to go to the restroom like right now. You definitely can.
I would love to.
Well, then go. Go.
Go where, Ben?
Oh, shit.
Where is it?
It's right around the corner. You'll walk out and then go right to the side.
Is Boomer going to attack me?
No.
Okay.
Can I wear it?
Can you leave it there?
Can I wear it?
Can you leave it where I just put it?
Would you be mad if I put it on?
If I see a weird like cross-dressing bin situation going on when I walk in.
Is that cross-dressing?
There was no bidet in there.
Not in this one.
Yeah.
This is like really. The other house is nicer.
Yeah.
Bring that guy closer.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're back. Thank you.
Thank you.
For being patient with us.
Thank you for being gracious with me.
Of course. Products and services. When did you start having services?
We started providing services as soon as we had the space to. So in our 700 square foot space, we didn't have much room to offer anything. It was pretty much all retail space. And when we held events, we kind of would move things off to the side, but we weren't able to offer like our Reiki energy healing, our crystal light therapy, our sound baths the way that we would like to. And so we started offering those when we had more space and availability to. So that's been since 2021.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is the future plan for Queendom Cultivation?
Unsure if I want to share it on the podcast.
You don't have to.
Yeah, but I'm juggling a few different strategies, and exit is one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to be in grind culture anymore.
Yeah.
I think I'm developing an exit to that in a way that I can still be a productive member of society.
Interesting.
But via the modality that I choose.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. But brick and mortar is not the way to go if you want like freedom of movement about your life. Yeah. So.
Facts.
Keep that in mind.
One last one and then we'll end off. What advice do you have? Two things. Sorry.
Oh, yay.
I keep on adding things.
I can tell you're that type of personal trainer.
I do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do?
Yeah.
What a fun fact.
Yeah.
Any advice to new or existing entrepreneurs?
Mm-hmm. You're going to give them to me one at a time? Okay.
Do you have? Yeah, one at a time.
Okay.
I'm going to forget the other one.
You should
Nope.
say it. All right. Advice I would give to new or existing entrepreneurs would be to ask for help. Ask for help even when you think you know. Ask for clarity. Just run it past someone else. Don't assume that you know everything, because then you'll only know what's within your limited scope of understanding. And you can't grow from that space of comfort. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable a little bit. And your discomfort may come from asking someone for support. But you don't have to do it all. You don't have to know it all. There are people who specialize in things that you don't know that would be a better asset to you and investment. If it costs something, pay that cost, because it's important for you to invest in the growth of your business and invest in yourself. Don't put your business before yourself. Your business will only do as well as its owner. The leader of the company cannot be sinking and expect the business to stay afloat. It's just poor leadership.
What advice would you give Jazz 10 years ago?
10 years ago, Jazz was 20. Man. Damn.
What advice do you give her?
I know you like things to be like right on the spot, and I just want to, think of an answer.
What is it? What is it?
5 seconds? Can I get maybe 5 seconds?
Yes.
Jazz from 10 years ago would be lighten up. Lighten up. None of this shit is that serious. You will be successful, because success is if you believe that something is for you, then no one can take it from you. Then you'll have it. So lighten up a little bit. Allow things to unfold as they are, and just learn the lessons that come as they do.
I normally don't do this, but I'm going to ask another one.
Oh.
What advice do you give 15-year-old Jazz?
Ooh, Jazz at half my age.
Yeah.
Jazz at half my age was living with her father, who's dying of cancer. And she didn't see the forest through the trees. It was very much like, this is my life. This is what's happening in my life. What's coming next? Who knows? My dad is dying. Like, there's no life beyond that I can see. I would tell her that it goes on and it gets better, and that you can have a relationship with people on the other side. That it's not the end.
Where can people find you?
QueendomCultivation.com. Queendom Cultivation on all platforms. That's Queendom like kingdom, but with queens instead. That face is unnecessary. Queendom Cultivation is located at 8450 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 109 and 110, because it's that big. We have 2 locations. Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117, on the northeast side of Sahara and Durango.
Any new upcoming events you got?
We have a full moon sound bath that we offer every month at the full moon Sunday closest to the full moon. If you're looking to just recharge and rest a little bit, come hang out with us for an hour. We'll give you some zen, maybe put you to sleep, help you release some stuff you may be carrying. Outside of that, we do have a vendor market, but that's tomorrow, and this episode won't be out by then.
Yeah.
Not unless you were really efficient.
Could I? Yes.
Yes.
But will I?
No.
Too
That's
much stuff
fine.
going on.
That's fine, but we do vendor markets, like vendors. We have different people from the community. So because I started as a vendor, it's really also important to me that I hold space for people who are looking for opportunities to sell their products in the community. And so we host these multiple times throughout the year, every 3 months on the equinox or solstice at the change of season. We also have one on Small Business Saturday. So show up for that too.
Beautiful. Thank you, Miss Jess.
Thank you, Mr. Ben. This was great. Thanks
course.
for having me.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here.
I've tuned
And thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. Love y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Ben Nevares podcast. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, and all other major podcast hosting platforms. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes.